Hello, Metal Nation. It is I, Tim. That is Mike. And Mike, and this is Podcast in Town. And Mike went to another concert that I am too lame to have gone to. I was in bed probably by 9. And, got up nice and early the next day and had some coffee instead of attending MESHUGGAH. So.
Tragedy.
And this is another, it appears this is another late in the tour show. So this is like a recap of, so if some of our reviews of concerts have been like early in the tour, so people further down the tour know what they have coming, but a couple of times
it's over by
it's
now.
been at the end of the tour. Like the tour's over and now we're doing the episode. So it's more like a retrospective.
Yep.
Yeah. So this show was at the theater at MGM National Harbor in National Harbor, Maryland, USA. So there is strike one for me. National Harbor is totally, the whole thing is bullshit. So what it is if you think of Washington, D.C. as a clock, there's the beltway around it. So like towards noon, that's like Rockville, Wheaton, Silver Spring. That's where a lot of the shows go to. At 9 o'clock, that is, that's Vienna, Virginia, stuff like that. That's where Anvil played once,
We're missing them right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go to bed again. So around 7 o'clock, that's where all the shows used to go. That's Springfield. That's where Jax was. Okay. So MGM is, and for those, just to complete the analogy, 3 o'clock is where the Washington Commanders suck. And that's also where Metallica is going to play. And that's also where Heavy Metal Parking Lot was filmed, over in that area. 3 o'clock relative to DC. So MGM National Harbor they legalized gambling in Maryland. Then they built all this stuff right on the Maryland side of whatever river that is. I forget if it's the Potomac or the Anacostia at that point. It's one of those two rivers. It's around 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock around the Beltway. And it sucks to get to unless you work at the Air Force Base. There's no way to get to it on public transportation at all, as far as I know. So no matter what, you got to drive, you got to park, you probably have to pay for parking. Everything's too expensive. They're trying to get rich people to come. They're trying to get you to gamble. And then there's a big expensive ass hotel called the Gaylord. Don't they have the, Mag Fest there, the Music and Gaming Fest? I think that happens there.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, it's just like a big event center, and it's just inconvenient for everyone, and it sucks. So that's where the show was at the venue there. So I've never been to this venue. I've been to the area, but I haven't been to MGM.
Yeah, so I've never been to National Harbor. I've never been to this, to the theater. I've never been to the casino. So I don't drink or gamble. This sort of shit is fairly lost on me. And when entering such a place, it feels like I shouldn't be here.
Like this isn't the demographic for.
Yeah. It's like I'm not supposed to be here. And that's before we add metal to the picture. So let me back up a little bit. Being the extremely vault, hardcore, true metalhead that I am, first thing I did was several days prior, I had to work out a babysitter. So babysitter got there. Me and my wife got in the car. We picked up.
Oh, Pete. Your wife went.
Yes, Amber went with me.
Is she into any of these bands? It was really, for the record. It was MESHUGGAH, preceded by Cannibal Corpse, preceded by Carcass. So
no, she just kind of likes going along for the ride. She's like, yeah, this is kind of fun to see. But, the music is kind of like, eh.
Or is it more like, I need to get out of this fucking house?
That could be a factor. So we went and picked up Pete from Eisenmore, who carpooled with us.
Pete!
Yeah, we drove, picked up food and got there because, we had no idea what the food situation was going to be like. I didn't know that this was like in the casino necessarily.
Yeah, there's lots of food down there, but it's all overpriced.
Yeah, so
like it's all like all your fancy DC restaurants probably have like a National Harbor location.
Right.
You probably have like a Guy Fieri's Badass American Flavor Town or whatever. You know?
Did you ever see that website with the fake Guy Fieri menu?
No.
Gotta find it. Okay, so we got there as soon as we were able to, but it was after Carcass started playing, so we only got to see 2 Carcass songs.
Oh, so I got their set list here. They played 7 whole songs, and
I'll be honest, I don't know the names of any of this shit. Pete would know.
More than half of it was from Heartwork, and then they played exactly 1 song from Surgical Steel, and then 2 from Necroticism. So,
okay,
I don't know, because I've seen Carcass headline before, and I feel like 7 songs is all kind of a waste of Carcass's time.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let me backpedal slightly.
Sure.
So we park. The parking, as far as I could tell, was free unless I did something wrong. If I did do something wrong, I was not punished for it. So we park, we get in, and we try to figure out like where the hell is the theater. We find elevators go up, and it's just, it feels like a Las Vegas casino kind of thing, which I was not really anticipating. I thought the theater would be like some sort of offshoot thing, or. Well,
yeah, I haven't been to the casino part, but yeah, I assume MGM is just the giant casino there, and
yeah,
somewhere they stuffed a theater in there.
Yes.
Well, at the one closer to Baltimore, there's like just a concert venue inside the casino. So when you're on stage looking out, you can probably see people losing at video poker and slot machines. Yeah. And they used to have a tribute band Thursdays. And it was all like, here's an Aerosmith tribute. Here's
fine. Well, we park, we wind our way through the casino, and it's a casino. So it's just very, and throughout the casino are like, you see people dressed up for their night out, and then you see guys with like painted faces and like tattoos. So I don't know if you ever been to Baltimore when Otakon happened.
Yeah. Yes, and I never knew that's what was going on.
Yeah, okay, so every time Otakon happened, there were 3 things that would happen simultaneously. Otakon has left, I think, but there would be an Orioles game.
Yeah.
Always. There would be Otakon, and there would be Maryland Death Fest happening simultaneously. And
so you got baseball fans and death metal sweaty guys and
furries, basically.
Furries.
I mean, it was just bizarre because you just be walking down. It's like there's anime people, there's metal people, there's baseball people,
and they're all trying to cross the same roads at the same time. And sometimes they're going different directions. It's like, what the fuck? What's going on?
Yes, yeah, it's just the most bizarre situation that you can think of. But that's sort of what this felt like because it's like, sweaty metal people walking through. And then there's like, people dressed up very nicely with drinks and like clearly enjoying themselves enjoying the casino for what it is.
Do you also have like the habitual gamblers who like don't know what time it is and trying to get the big score?
I think those people you just don't see. They don't move.
Because their machine's going to get lucky. Right. Stay at I've walked through the Maryland Live a few times and the Horseshoe for that matter.
It's actually the reason I hate Vegas. I can't take the like to be slightly serious for a second. I can't take looking at all the people just like actively dying.
Right. Oh yeah. So I think the worst one I saw was in Eastern Washington State where they still had smoking in the casino and we went there for whatever reason and it was sad. People with their oxygen machines, like
it's depressing.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you ever gambled? You said you don't gamble, but have you ever? I was on a work trip once to Gulfport, Mississippi, and we stayed across from the casino. So I went and I put the rest of my per diem that was left over. I lost it in 2 hands of blackjack. And I was like, well, that was fun. I'm going to bed. And I went to bed. My coworker stayed behind and apparently lost a whole lot more than the rest of his per diem. I was like, I'm gonna triple my per diem and get a steak tomorrow or something. But that is not how it turned out.
Oh boy, that's too bad.
Yeah.
All right.
It's impressive how quickly you can lose $21. And I was like, I'm good. I get it.
Yeah.
And I can see how that can turn into hundreds, thousands, and, turns into the plot of Vegas Vacation.
Yeah. It's for me, it's just like, I don't want to mess with that. All right. Anyway, so we wind our way through this place and we find the theater, and it's sort of inefficient because there's like, we see one guy and we show him our tickets and he doesn't scan them, but he gives us stamps. Okay. And then we walk through and there's like a priority line, which is empty, and then another line. I think it's a priority line. We go to the other line, which is basically also almost empty.
No one here.
They scan our tickets. They go very thoroughly through Amber's purse. And they don't check me basically at all. They stamp me again. Or they check the stamps. Then we wind our way through, there's like a bar and like the merch area. And then the theater itself is just sort of open. And then they check your stamp at the doors of the theater, and then you're in.
What happens if you washed your hands?
I don't understand how you were supposed to get in there in the first place without getting a stamp. It feels like once you're through the threshold, you're in.
Right.
But anyway, we walk in and Carcass is just starting, I think, Corporal Jigsaw Quandary, which I love. So it was cool to watch them play. Then they played Heartwork, and that was it. And it was a tragedy because I really wanted to see Carcass. But one thing I do want to mention about this tour is that all 3 of these bands, I guess for the youngins out there, all 3 of these bands are basically genre defining.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Prior to Death Clock, well, I mean, Carcass spawned an entire genre where it was like, oh, it's Carcass worship. That's just what it is. It's just people that worship Carcass. And various bands did all that. Cannibal Corpses, they were, before Death Clock, the first death metal band to break the Billboard Top 200, I think. And then MESHUGGAH basically spawned Gent, which, you may or may not like.
I will reserve my comments.
Yes. But, it's weird seeing Carcass, who is an immensely influential band, open, for one. And 2, to see them be the second opener seems almost heretical.
Yeah. All of these bands headline their tours. The last time I saw Cannibal Corpse open was for Slayer, which makes sense. But
that show pissed me off, though, because fucking Lamb of God. Oh,
that's right.
Right before Slayer.
Is that the second time this year you've brought that up?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, that's how upset you are. You still bring it up, and that was 5 years ago.
I'm still mad about it. Yes.
Yeah. Fucking Lamb of God.
God damn it. Anyway, all right. So we wait for a while. Pete has a bunch of buddies around, so he's mingling. He's being social, and then I'm trying to bring Amber up to date because she does not know these bands. So I'm like, Cannibal Corpse is actually in terms of death metal, they're a pretty important band. They are.
You go. Cannibal Corpse was in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, but they still had Chris Barnes. Now Chris Barnes left and went to make 6 Feet Under, and he's from Baltimore.
6 Feet Under.
Well, I brought up Baltimore because that's where Corpse Grinders.
Yes. So we're just chatting, but then Cannibal Corpse comes on, and I hate to say this, I don't know much of their newer material.
It's all the same, but I mean that in a good way.
It's good stuff.
Unless you're really into it, there's no point in buying more than one album every 5-10 years.
Yeah, the album the album that I first heard them at was Bloodthirst, which was in 98, I think. But I had like a lot of back material to go through to figure out the rest. It can't be 98. That's not right. But anyway, I mean, like, there are a lot of albums before then. And I'm trying to figure out when this album was now.
Bloodthirst was 99.
Oh, I'm not as far off as I thought. Okay. But I mean, you know, before then, what is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 albums before Bloodthirst. But at this point, there's more albums after Bloodthirst than there were before.
Yeah, like post Bloodthirst, 2002, 2004, 2006, 2009, 2012, 2014, 2017, 2021, 2020. Who can keep up with this?
Yeah, so I don't know the new material. It all sounds great. It all sounds like Cannibal Corpse. But you know, they put on a great show. Alex Webster is a monster on bass. Eric Rutan.
I think it's Roritan.
Is it
Eric?
Okay.
Well, I know who he is.
Yeah, Eric. All right. Okay, so he is their newest guitarist after their old guitarist.
It's Rutan. You're right.
Okay. After their old guitarist had some sort of weird gun thing that happened.
My theory is living in Florida just cooks your brain and makes you insane. If you weren't already insane enough to move to Florida.
Was it O'Brien that left? It had to have been O'Brien.
I think it was.
Yeah. Okay. The highlights for me were the old, like, Bloodthirst era songs, and then their songs earlier. So they have "I Come Blood," they have "Stripped, Raped, and Strangled," which unfortunately
they used to dedicate "I Come Blood" to the ladies. Did they still do that?
Oh no, that was "Fucked with a Knife" that they dedicated to the ladies. So, they do "I Come Blood," they do "Stripped, Raped, and Strangled," which is unfortunately an incredibly catchy song. And then they close the song with "Hammer Smash Face."
Nice.
Or close the set with "Hammer Smash Face," which is their big hit.
What a weird thing to say.
Yeah. It's the song that they played in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. But while they were playing this song, I remembered a fact about my life. So when my daughters were born, I wanted to make sure that if at some point in the future somebody challenged their metalness, that they would be able to say, "I've been listening to metal since the day I was born." So "Hammer Smash Face" is the song that I played to my daughters within the first 24 hours of them being born to make sure that it's like, "How long have you been listening to metal?" "Literally since the day I was born."
Nice.
I'm very proud of myself. But overall, I mean, it was Cannibal Corpse said it is like the music. It's like, it's good and it is what it is. Corpse Grinder, for being who he is surprisingly charismatic. There was one thing where he's like, "I want you guys," he's like, "we're going to have a headbanging competition. Nobody does it anymore. And I understand why, because I'm the best. Nobody can do it better than me." And it's like, we'll try, we'll compete, and you'll lose, and I will win. And to be fair,
wrong one.
I mean, he's pretty good at it. So that was hilarious. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it looks like their set. So someone dropped the ball and didn't put their DC set on setlist.fm from in Pittsburgh, which was like right before, I think. They did 2 songs off Chaos Horrific, which is the new one, I think, right? Mm-hmm. And then 2 from Tomb of the Mutilated, 1 from Bloodthirst, Evisceration, Plague, Kill, The Bleeding, Torture, and Violence Unimagined, which was the second most recent one. So yeah, they did a nice slice of everything.
Yeah.
Unlike Carcass.
Right. Yeah, that was strange. But okay, so then there's a fairly decent wait for Meshuggah, but they come on and they start with an intro tape of George Michael, like Careless Whisper.
Oh, Careless Whisper.
What? Yes, which could not be a bigger mismatch to their aesthetic. Like, unbelievably not in not correct. And they started playing Broken Cog off of the newest album, MESHUGGAH. And the thing that needs to be stated is that I'm sure if anybody here has seen MESHUGGAH, the light show is like an incredibly important part. It's extremely pinpoint accurate to the music. The music is so like, chuggy, but the lights change for every single thing that the musicians do. And to the point where, it's doing like some of the lights are doing triplets when like Hake on the drums is doing triplets on his kick. And then some of the other ones are like, the guitars are playing something else, but the lights are moving in rhythm with that. So the lights are just absolutely crazy. And this was borne out by Broken Cog. But during the Violent Sleep of Reason, their second song, apparently they got some new light fixtures. And they're like these multi-way lasers. And they look nuts.
You said introducing, and I'm thinking like, ladies and gentlemen,
the new
introducing the laser fixtures.
But like, I don't mean to sound like, I don't know, hyperbolic, but they're nuts because, okay, so I guess from a singular point, they can shoot out multiple lasers or one wide beam.
Oh, that's weird.
And then they can like also they can take all the lasers and like coalesce into one.
It kind of sounds like what Metallica had lasers when I saw them on tour for not 72 Seasons, the one before it, Hardwired.
Okay.
They brought out the lasers during one, and they just like shot over the audience, but I don't think they used them that much. It's like it was a couple times.
Yeah, this was used extensively.
Well, at that price, you better use them.
I need to talk about them because, like, especially this like wave, this long kind of line. If you looked on the back wall, so they had it kind of aimed below the upper crowd and above.
There's a balcony and
so they had it aimed at like the line of the balcony, which I thought was safe. But if you looked when they were firing this like long beam, it came out as like it almost looked like a sine wave on the back wall, which I thought was neat. Oh, interesting. Okay. So when they're playing the Violent Sleep of Reason, when they first start introducing the lasers, it's like they move impossibly. So it looks like they're just constantly moving to the right. Like if you think about scrolling down a web page, if it were infinite, it's kind of what it looks like. So the interesting thing about the lights at this point is that because they move the way they do, they start becoming alarming. Because they start giving the sensation of something much bigger than it should be, moving much faster than it should.
Was it like disorienting?
Yes, which I think is awesome for the music.
I've been listening to a Pink Floyd audiobook, like History of Pink Floyd, and they say disorientating so many times. It drives me nuts. That's not a word.
It's a back formation. It's true. Like there's a few words like that. It's like, because there's orientation, but you orient yourself. You don't orientate yourself.
It's like orientated. And commentator, I hate that word. I hear that a lot too. Anyway.
All right.
But that's more of a word than orientating. So you were disorientated from the lasers. Yeah.
Disorientated. Okay. So, however, MESHUGGAH is pretty much like a well-oiled machine live. Like Cannibal Corpse, it's pretty much the same, but it's good. They're all just totally in lockstep. Everything they do matches the lights 100%. The light show is crazy.
They gotta have some kind of like, it's they have all the lighting effects, and then they show up to a venue and probably map it to.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like they bring a lot of their own lights, and then because I saw some of the video, and then they use some of the venue's lights. They probably just like plug in and map some of their fixtures. I'm sure it's just software based, and it's all synced to the click and all that. That's my guess. If you want,
we could talk a little bit about this because
sure,
I did some research on this. But anyway, they're pretty much they're at the top of their game. Frederick Dorendal is back, so Pers Per Nilsson from Scar Symmetry is no longer filling in. I don't really know why he stepped back from the band for a while. I don't think he wrote much of the last two albums, but he basically was, at some point, I know recently, he was like, can I come back? And they were like, yeah, come on back. So he's back there doing his thing. And, they just sound crushing. They sound huge. But, every song basically sounds like it does on the album. So there's nothing like in particular to draw attention to, except until we get to the encore. So Pete had asked me, like, what do you think they're going to encore with? And I said, probably Demiurge, which is off of Kolos, and it's just catchy. And I said, they might not play Bleed and Bleed, I know, is like their most popular song, but the drums on Bleed are insane. Like, I can't think of a song with more intense drums than Bleed. And there are interviews of Hake going like, I just can't keep up with this anymore. I don't blame him. Like, very few people could keep up with it, period. So the encore, they play Bleed, and he just fucking nails it. Every note. Just absolutely kills it. So I was very impressed by that. The lighting was absolutely insane the entire time. Very good show. I was very happy with it. So the only thing that sucks is that we couldn't get there earlier to see more Carcass. Because even playing the newer stuff, I would have liked to see him play. But
could you tell what kind of equipment they were using? Like, because, I know that 8 strings, and don't they mostly only play that low string, and it's lots of Morse code? But do they have, like, modelers or amps on stage?
No amps on stage. They typically don't. They lean pretty heavily into the digital stuff. I know for the most recent album, for one of the more recent albums, they went back to amps for a while. So Meshuggah has a signature line, or at least Frederick Thorndal does, from Ibanez. And if you look up the Ibanez M8M, that's kind of one of their more, I don't know, that's one of the earlier manufactured 8 strings that I'm aware of. But for Frederick Thorndal, I mean, he's got that, I don't know, it's got like a Gibson. It's not an Explorer, is it? It sort of looks like an Explorer, but it's not.
What side does he stand on?
The stage right.
Left as you're looking at them?
Yeah.
It's kind of Explorer-y, but...
Yeah, it's not quite.
It's not quite.
Oh, here it is. The Frederick Thorndal signature.
Oh, well.
It's $2,000.
That's cheap for a signature.
Yeah, actually, it's not that bad. But their guitar style, their guitars tend to be like, they're all black. They're sort of like, you can still see the wood grain typically. As far as modelers go, I don't know what they're using on tour. It's probably Axe-FX's.
Just wondering.
I wouldn't be surprised if they went to Quad Cortexes at some point, but I don't know. But they were one of the earlier bands to lean on all digital. I know that they're digitals. They have a few interviews where they're talking about using their Line 6s, and this is back when the Line 6s weren't.
Oh, the kidney bean?
Good. Yeah. This is actually something you could probably look up on Wikipedia and figure out their, like, they have enough interest that people report on their gear.
Well, we'll leave that as an exercise to the listener.
All right. But that's about it. I mean, it was a great show. Leaving was a pain in the ass.
Lasers, amazing lights. So, like, Rammstein. I've told people, even if you don't like their music, go just for the show, the production. Go listen to something else. Is Meshuggah's light show that level of, like, it doesn't matter what they're playing?
In my opinion, yes. I mean, because at a certain point, it's like grinding huge noise and lasers shooting around all over the place. I think the show alone, I think it's Gwar, Rammstein level. Like, just go see the show.
The only thing that worries me, I hate it when they shine lights straight at the audience.
They do that a lot.
It looks like they have those fixtures that shine straight into the eyes of the people in the back row, and it drives me insane. They
do. I actually warned Amber about this beforehand. I was like, when they do this, they don't do it super often, but when they do, they lean into it a bit.
Symphony X did it over and over and over again. It's like, stop doing this, you assholes.
Well... I was there at that show too, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Well,
I think we reviewed it.
this one, like, it tends to go crazy for a bit and then it cools down for like multiple songs. So they're sparing in their use of it overall, but when it happens a lot. I still recommend it.
And not for the photosensitive epileptics, I assume?
No.
And they warned people this?
Yes, it was
Okay.
they had it on the side things. It's like, this show contains flashing lights.
And how?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Metal Nation, if you also enjoyed the tour, tab out some Meshuggah riffs in the comments.
0000001.
There you go. Let's see a lot of those. All right. And until next time, we'll find out what show Mike went to that I didn't. And then we'll talk about it.
Cast them down.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, if you look at the left hand of Meshuggah, it's like, oh, nice. You look at the left hand of Meshuggah, it's like, this is the easiest possible shit. It's the right hand that's the problem. Like, just in terms of, it's like your picking is going to be a mess, even if it's like it's triplets. It's like, oh, I have to go off beat. Oh God, I'm drifting further off beat. But somehow this is what the song demands. Oh no.
Here's what the wrists sound like. They can't sign the checks.
All they can do is pick. They can't do anything else.